We've learned that Iraq has trained al-Qaeda members in bomb-making.
Saddam Hussein's regime trained al-Qaeda operatives in bomb-making.
Saddam is now training al-Qaeda in bomb-making.
We know that Iraq and al-Qaeda have had high-level contacts that go back a decade.
Senior-level contacts between Iraq and al-Qaeda going back a decade.
The Iraqi regime has been in contact with al-Qaeda for at least a decade.
Saddam Hussein is harboring terrorists.
Harbors these terrorists.
Aid, comfort, and sanctuary to terrorists.
We know that Iraq and the al-Qaeda terrorist network share a common enemy, the United States of America.
Wonder if the Bushes and the people at Fox News and people like that had a big sigh of relief when the hurricane hit. I know it's a horrible tragedy, they must have said, but thank God we don't have to talk about Cindy. My pill box separates them out for the week. This is carbamazepine. It is a nerve pain medication.
Ms. Collins, aye.
This is a drug called Coumadin, and it's a blood thinner.
Mr. Craig, aye.
This is tizanidine. It's an antispasm medication.
Mr. Crapo, aye.
This is gabapentin.
Mr. Dashel,
It's a nerve pain medication.
aye.
This is bupropion.
Mr. DeWine,
It's an antidepressant.
aye.
This is omeprazole.
Mr. Dodd,
It's for morning nausea.
aye.
And this is morphine. It's a narcotic, and in this situation, the effect is not to get high, but to kill pain. And so I have to take more and more of it to stop the pain.
Let's, for a moment, let's talk about technique all through this documentary. By the way, how long is it?
87 minutes. I want it to be 85 because that's the length of the March of the Penguins. We knew we couldn't be tedious. We knew we couldn't do a rant. We knew we couldn't lecture. So please, Lord, let them out of the theater and time to go to dinner. And that's what we've done, 87 minutes.
One of the techniques used throughout the entire thing, and we knew that you were doing this documentary because you came to C-SPAN's archives, you bought these clips to put into your documentary like anybody else can do, and we had nothing to say about the script or what your position was, but you show the president throughout this and other administration people saying things, and then people on both sides of the fence, Democrats and Republicans, repeating the same words. How did you know to do that?
Well, I watched it live in October 2002, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. This was a superficial, bumper sticker debate in which significant numbers of members of both chambers accepted from the White House Iraq group talking points. They just took them and read them. A smoking gun will become, you know, and by the way, 3 weeks before the election, November of '02. Now, you have to go back to '02 to realize the emotional condition of this country. I mean, everybody wanted to bomb something. I mean, we were so mad we couldn't spit. And this president brought this debate up, and he used the politics of fear, and it worked. Saddam has this, Saddam has that. He's outside your bedroom, he's under your bed. He took this nation by the ear and led it right into the sword. It's amazing how easy it is to do that.
How many hours did you search in order to get these clips? And how did you do it? Who did it for you? Did you do it yourself?
No. Well, I did most of the review of the C-SPAN material. The Tomas, this personal story that was so well filmed by Ellen Spiro, a cinematographer who happens to teach at the University of Texas at Austin. She was, I said, look, let's not sanitize the war. My inspiration from this was that, remember the naked child running from the napalm in Vietnam? Kim was her name. I'm told she now lives in Canada. Screaming, stark naked, 7, 8 years old, and you could see the black smoke behind her. That picture won a Pulitzer Prize, it should have. Don't sanitize the war. See the pain. If you're going to send a nation to war, the least we owe those who've made the sacrifice, less than 5% of us in this war, by the way, deserve to be heard, to be, at least we have a responsibility to know that they're there. How long this took, I don't know. The preparation of the film took 3 years, and we essentially had 2 editing rooms. One was where I was going through the C-SPAN stuff. A wonderful editor by the name of Phillip Schopper helped me establish these choruses, and Bernadine Colish edited the Tomas Young Kansas City film material, and Bernadine Colish assembled the whole thing for us. I mean, I'm sorry, but I've never been so respectful of the work of editors as I am now. I've learned a lot.
And it was all in New York, the editing?
Yes, all of it.
The one last technique, and we got to go back to clips, the use of the dome of the Capitol, and then the constant roll call, the voice of the clerk.
It's the clerk.
In the Senate.
In the Senate, and I am embarrassed. I can't think of his name. Mrs. Clinton, aye. Mr. Akaka, no. What is his name? Oh, my. His family's going to be upset with me.
Huh? Ever met him?
Never have, no. He's visible in our film, by the way. He's the man who comes in and says, Mr. President, I have a message from the House. The House has passed Joint Resolution 1-1. That's him. I want to say John Jay. That's not it. But it's something, it's a very, I thought it was a one-syllable last name. Not sure.
Next clip, erectile dysfunction, and you can explain why you wanted to use this after we look at it.
Hold the head of the penis between the thumb and the forefinger.
One of the more delightful side effects of my situation is erectile dysfunction, ED, and there are several choices out there on the market available to a young man with penis problems, and we've tried 2 or 3 of them, and they haven't really worked all that well for us. One that we haven't tried is this thing called the Quadriplegic system, which involves a shot directly into your penis of some kind of magic medicine that'll give you an erection. But it still involves a needle into a very sensitive area. Another way to try to awaken the monster is the pump. It's kind of like a vacuum tube thing, and you can watch your penis get larger. But it's not the most romantic thing in the world to bring this big hunk of plastic and rubber into bed.
The problem with the pump is that Thomas wears external catheters, which are basically like condoms. And it's like a condom with a tube on the end of it. And this is what he pees out of, and it goes into a bag. To keep the condom on so that he doesn't have an accident and wet himself, there's a lot of adhesive used, which sometimes irritates the skin of the penis. Add to that the fact that he's on blood thinners because of a blood clot, and when you use the pump, you're forcing a lot of blood into the penis, which brings blood to the surface, and so the skin on his penis bleeds, which freaks him out.
We cannot wait for the final proof, the smoking gun, that could come in the form of a mushroom cloud.
When there is a smoking gun or a mushroom cloud, we have waited too long.
We cannot wait for the smoking gun. A gun smokes only after it has been fired.
The gun smokes only after it is fired.
A gun smokes after it's been fired.
That smoking gun would be a smoking city.
And the smoke of a nuclear blast would mean that we are too late.
Mr. Domenici, aye. Mr. Dorgan, aye. Mr. Edwards, aye.
In the name of the people of this country, in the name of the young men and women whose lives may be put on the line.
Mr. Ensign, aye. Mr. Enzi, aye.
By the decision that this Senate will make is too weighty, is too far-reaching, and it's only fair to the people of America who are going to be asked to give, in some instances, everything that they've got, everything they have, if a war ensues. And I tell you, my friends, I don't want that on my conscience. Not I.